A very good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you to today's workshop, which is about current employment market insights. As you know, my dear students, we conduct workshops every trimester to support you develop multidimensional perspectives about career success, about the world of work, and the employment market in the UAE and abroad. I really hope that through today's session, you would be able to take away new perspectives and insights about how can you go about looking for work opportunities in this current market. My name is Usma Shaheen, and I'm a teaching faculty and your employability advisor at Murdoch University, Dubai. The format of our session today comprises of 7 questions related to current employment market insights. And it is really through the answers to these questions by our guest speakers that we will be able to draw from their experience and learn from their insights. We are very privileged to have Scott Cook and Dhruv Narath as our guest speakers for today's session. Both Scott and Dhruv have been able to find a job in the last 3 to 6 months, and thus they will be able to share their insights and their learnings on how did they go about searching for a job and how were they successful in finding something that was of interest to them. They both have rich experience of working for many different organizations, both in the UAE and abroad. Scott and Dhruv, thank you so much for making the time for our students. And thank you very much for agreeing to share your job hunt journey with us.
It's a pleasure.
So without further delay, let's get started with the first question. Please tell us a bit about yourself and how has your career journey been so far? I'll start off with Scott, followed by Dhruv.
Okay, I left high school in around 1990. Was when I left high school. I went into the construction industry. I attended trade school while doing construction, so I was working and learning at the same time. I progressed into my own business, and I learned sort of management through that. I actually had an injury down the snow, which I fractured a vertebrae. So I moved away from doing heavy lifting and things like that, and I moved into the hospitality industry. I was working in bars and nightclubs with celebrities and models and everything. It was quite a interesting time, quite fun when you're 21. Doesn't pay so well though in Australia, so I moved back into construction and had run my own business, which I had people working for me, and one of my employees that no longer worked for me, he actually got a job in Dubai. He went through Singapore, Bangkok, and then he come to Dubai and he got me a job over here. So that was quite cool, and not look back really. It was I've been in construction here for now 17 years. 2005 I come over here, I met my wife and made a family, built a career over here. I come over to work for an Australian company on the airport. I got let go in 2009 with the recession after the global financial crisis. I moved over to a local company, Alumni, and I spent 12 and a half years with them. I survived 3 downturns where we had redundancies, and on the 4th, just recently, or the middle of last year, I was made redundant through a restructuring. You know, the cash flow in the region was down after COVID, so restructuring and rebudgeting, so I was made redundant.
Wow, that's a very interesting story. What about you, Dhruv?
So I finished high school in 2012, and similar to Scott, I had a bachelor's which had more of on-the-job training. I did my bachelor's in hospitality. Um, Around 2013, that's sorry, when I graduated, I got an opportunity to move to UAE in the banking sector for Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. And I started with customer service over there. And I always had an interest towards finance, and I understood finance uh, more than what I was doing. And I had the opportunity to move to portfolio management from there by proving myself for about 2.5, 3 years. From there, I moved to an organization called IDP Education, where I did business development for them. And similar to Scott, during the pandemic, that role kind of became redundant because I had to visit a lot of schools, and it involved interacting with a lot of children. So, at that point of time, the activities were curtailed. And then I decided to upskill myself because I realized this is the best opportunity to, increase my academic knowledge. And I decided to join the Murdoch MBA. And from there, through some connections and my networking, I got my current job. I work for the Al Habtoor family. I work for one of the family members. I handle all his private investments, his private companies. So just a basic idea, the Habtoor group is like the family business is there, which everybody knows about, and all of them have their own private investments and private companies. So I handle that for them. So that's been my journey since school and now till here.
Wow, thank you so much. It's fantastic to hear that both Scott and Dhruv were able to get their, break through some kind of networking, through some kind of contact. So Scott also moved from Australia to Dubai through an old colleague, and Dhruv also has been able to get his most recent job through somebody who knew his credentials, somebody who could vouch for his strengths. So that's really something for us to take away and remember that networking not just is going to help us now, but may help us in the future as well. Wherever we go, we need to carry ourselves in a way that people recognize the value we can bring with us. So thank you so much for sharing your career journey with us. Now, based on your experience, Scott and Dhruv, what are the most effective strategies for finding one's first job in the current employment market?
Okay, for first job, okay, so I'd say education, look for internships, network. Okay, be relentless. You don't be put off by knockbacks. You just got to keep going. I know that's easier said than done, especially you just have to believe in yourself and find ways how you can believe in yourself. People want to see people, when people are looking for new employees, they want to see there is an expectation of experience, but obviously for juniors, it can be replaced with enthusiasm. People like to see enthusiasm. An enthusiastic person that's willing to pick up skills and learn is much better than someone that already knows, has the knowledge, but is not willing to actually, has no drive. So yeah, LinkedIn, there's different social networks, getting content out there, not just on LinkedIn. I quite laugh because a lot of people just hit the interested button. And I often think that no one, if I wasn't a recruiter, I would not respond to that. I would actually want to see someone's words and some effort into what they say on a post.
Wow,
yeah,
that's interesting. Very nice. Thank you. What about you, Dhruv?
So basically, I completely agree with what Scott has said. And to add on to that, don't be afraid to use your connections. When I speak about connections, I even mean your parents' friends who are already established in the Dubai and the UAE market or in the GCC market. Don't be afraid and feel awkward while reaching out to people. make meaningful connections. When I say make connections, don't make connections only just to say that, listen, I'm looking for a job and here's my CV and that's it. You first should develop a decent relationship with that person, spend time with them. I'm not saying go out every day, but over the weekends, get in touch with them, wish them, be in touch with them, showcase that you have certain skills that they might be helpful for them when they hire you, and have a positive mindset. Second thing, not very important thing that I can say is, yes, online is there, but also don't be afraid to do the hard work and grind. I recently came across, I was actually going for a meeting to one of a lawyer's firm about 3-4 weeks back. And we were just waiting outside the parking for one of our colleagues. And a gentleman was walking past us, and he saw that we were in suits and we were holding our laptops and everything. So he stopped by and he said, "Sir, I wanted to speak to you for 2 minutes." And he explained that he's an accountant and he's done all of this. And I was quite stunned. We have called him for an interview because he was not afraid to approach people. He was not, he did not come with that mindset, what will people say if I approach them? I'm not asking you to go to the streets and start looking for a job, but what I'm trying to say is, oftentimes we restrict ourselves because we think that society will judge us if we ask for help, So ask for help. Your career counselors are there. They will know a lot of good opportunities. Use those resources. So basically, effectively using your resources is very important in getting your first job. And don't run after don't run after a lucrative package. Your friends might be getting some amazing packages everywhere, but for you, what the first part is, get a job that you want to do in the field that you want to work in. So keep yourself open to that as well. So initially you might want to, as you're a fresher, you might not get the desired package that you want. Keep yourself open to that, but get a job, learn the experience, and then from there move on with your path.
Wow, thank you so much. This is so insightful. I mean, I love the way Scott and Ruth have said, don't feel disheartened with rejections, show resilience, and continue to believe in yourself. Because the problem with rejections is that often we feel that we are not good enough, when that's not the case. The case is really that you're great. That's why you were called for an interview. And perhaps there's some other candidate who fits the role a bit better than you, but it is your opportunity to, sharpen your edges, and hopefully next time around, you're going to get something bigger and better, right? So that mindset.
Sorry, I want to add one very important point. I noticed one so I've also attended the career fair, when you have it for the Murdoch students. And I noticed one thing is that students did not take it very seriously. Rather than researching about the companies that are coming in, who is coming in, connecting with them. I remember when I came for the career fair about 6-8 months back, which happened, I had connected with nearly 5 or 6 people on LinkedIn before I even came to the career fair. And I had reached out to them. So when I met them, I was not a stranger to them. I had already, in a way, introduced myself. I said, I'll meet you during the career fair. And it created a very positive interaction. So I see a lot of students, they are not well prepared. They don't research about the organization they're going for an interview to. You should know certain things like what are the financials of the company, what is the business model of the company, things like that. Try speaking out to people, reaching out to people, ask them what is the environment of your company. These things will really help you in your first job.
Right.
Coming across as professional.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, agreed.
It's really very, very important. You're right. Spending that time and effort to get to know your employer even before you have gone in and met with them will actually give you a lot of confidence and will help you position yourself in line with what that organization may be looking for, right? And that personal confidence is so critical for you to be able to showcase your skill set. Because if you don't believe in yourself, trust me, nobody else will. It is 100%. A very competitive world out there. Any questions you have, my dear students, before we move on to the next one? I mean, this is your session. Take the advantage. You can use the chat, or you can ask the questions now, or you can ask them towards the end of the session. All right, my dear, so let's move on to the third question, which is again very, very important, because we know that with the pandemic, the job market was impacted in a huge way. And we are very curious to know, Dhruv and Scott, how has the employment market, in your view, changed due to the pandemic? And is there a particular set of, insights you have or advice that you'd like to give to our students in order to enhance their employability within the market, whether they're looking for internships or they're seeking part-time work or full-time work upon graduation? Please share your learning about how the employment market has morphed due to COVID-19.
Okay, so with the pandemic, there was a backlash with regional cash flows. There were certain projects that were put on hold, which is why I was a victim of restructuring with my position in my previous company. So I would say, looking for trends in the market, from coming from a more senior or mid-level management, the packages were no longer here in Dubai. So I know a lot of colleagues and previous work colleagues moved over to Saudi Arabia. That's because that's where the money was. I was looking at it. It didn't exactly work for me for family reasons, so I didn't head towards Saudi. But I would say, yeah, look for like geographical trends, trends in technology, AI, learning to use. I'm very old school and a bit technically challenged, but using chat, that AI chat GPT, because that will actually remove a lot of jobs. So learning to harness it and using it to your advantage is probably a good thing to know. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So what about you, Dhruv?
So after the pandemic, I feel the job market has become tougher because, first of all, everybody like me, a lot of people have upskilled their education. Now, for example, you apply for a job and you have two candidates, and let's say I'm interviewing that person. If I have two similar candidates, I have a person who's got a master's and I got a bachelor's, I would generally like to hire the person who's looking for the master's. And because of the pandemic, resources have become a little cheaper. So first thing is that I would suggest all of you to consider the option. I'm not saying that applies to everybody, but consider an options for upskilling yourselves at least to a master's now. That's the first thing. I agree with Scott. Follow the trend. Do not, you're young, you can travel, you can live without your parents. Keep the opportunity, keep yourself open to working in different countries all across the world. I remember I was 18 and I was living in southern part of India and my parents were in the northern part. So since 18, I have never been home and I've always been away from my parents. So there is a freedom to it and there is a sense of responsibility that you'll learn. So keep yourself open to that. And yes, technology is very important to be integrated into your daily life. So keep up with what are the new trends, what are the new sought after positions. Like I don't know if you guys know, but big data management has become very lucrative at this point of time. A lot of people want people who can manage data, can present data. So upskilling yourself over there. So you can look at that. But yes, with the pandemic, I would say you are also. Oh, another important point is that we are entering into a recession slowly. The Fed rates, follow the news. That is very important, financial news. So the Fed rate is going to increase again, and that is going to reduce borrowing, which means that people are not going to invest in more projects. So your competition is even going to get more tougher. There are going to be limited jobs and more people that will want to apply. So see what other people are doing, what your competition is doing, and try to go one step ahead of them. So that's what I can say. The pandemic has changed. Basically, you have to be more competitive now.
Wow, that's very interesting to know. And you're absolutely right that with the pandemic, there's so many people who have lost jobs, and they are there in the employment market with more years of experience. But at the same time, organizations are always looking for fresh blood. They're always looking for people who are ready to start their career, because once they hire fresh graduates, whether it's with a bachelor's or master's degree, they can actually help, adapt those individuals in line with the culture of the organization. So a lot of fresh graduates have great opportunity in that way. And I'm so glad all of you are working towards your bachelor's. Some of you may be working towards your master's degree. So that's really something very important. Continue to focus on your grades, continue to learn as much as you can. And we always recommend building your credentials gradually through certification programs, through internships, through part-time work, so that somehow or the other you can demonstrate your value to the employer even before he or she has hired you, right? So
Yeah.
those are fantastic, pieces of advice for us. I'd like to now move to the next question, which I'm very curious to learn from Scott and Dhruv as well. And that is, what is your personal key to success for both of you? What's really helped you be where you are today?
Okay, so I'd say staying motivated. I think once you've had your own business, you develop a little bit of a different mindset. So every role I've gone into working for a boss after having my own business, I treat the business like my own. So I have a fairly strong work ethic. Another tip I've always tried to do across over the years is do my boss's job for them. Make their life easy. Try and look ahead. It comes from even when I was coming out of school, just passing the tools to the tradesman. When you're an apprentice and you're passing the tools, you're watching and learning what job's going to happen next, and you're passing the correct tools so the tradesman can just flow, like the work flows. So I would say, using that analogy, to look at what your boss is doing, how you can assist, and how you can make your boss's job easy, and try and learn from them, and try and be able to do it yourself. So when they go on vacation, or if they're off sick and you can manage their position, that's your time to step up and shine. That gets a lot more difficult when the higher you climb up the ladder. But and then I think also managing, when you get higher up in the positions, managing stress. Dhruv will probably tell you, I like to have a good joke. I like to keep things fun, even in the classroom, even at the office. I like to, you're there to do a job. You've got to be serious about what you're doing, but it's good to have a bit of a laugh in between.
Thank you so much for sharing, Scott. So Dhruv, what do you say?
Yeah, so I think Scott's pretty much covered the entire most requirements of growing up the ladder. But a couple of things that I would like to add is that a lot of people I see is that they just come, they do their job 9 to 6, and that's it, they leave. They don't really get deep into what they're actually doing. They, you can either be a follower or you can be a leader. A follower is the person I can come, I can give you a couple of entries to pass in the morning, and you do your job and you leave at 6 p.m. But a person who's a leader who wants to grow would actually get into the nitty-gritties of these things. It gets mucky. It is more time consuming. You will have less time for YouTube. You will have less time for friends. But at the end of the day, trust me, it makes a lot of difference. Your knowledge base has to be very strong. So my knowledge base, because of the knowledge base that I have, it has really helped me, because as I said, I work for the family, but I'm working across 8 or 10 different sectors. And in every half an hour, I'm doing either work for a construction company, I'm looking into finances of a construction company, or I'm auditing an acrylic company which makes stands, which are two different fields, or I'm getting into an organization that does marketing, so helping them with their marketing plans. So I can do that because I have made a knowledge base. So improve your knowledge base. That's a very important part to your personal success.
Wow, that's fantastic. So both of you really focused on taking ownership of your work, whether it is really the mindset of being the founder of the company, or it's really making sure that every nitty-gritty related to your job is looked after. So that's really a great takeaway for me and hopefully for the students as well. And the second thing that you both said is really a knowledge base, whereby you said, know your craft, try and support your manager, get to know his role as well, so that when he or she is not around, you can cover for him. And all along in that process, you're actually making your manager feel that you are there to provide support to him. So there's that element of, reliance or reliability that you are gradually building within your, supervisor and the team. So keeping that in perspective, I really want to know, how did you both go about developing your skill set? How do you keep that balance whereby you're doing your job, you're learning more about your job, your boss's job as well, managing the nitty-gritties of the work as well, and still, being able to grow?
Okay. For me, it was a natural, I guess, a natural growth from practical work in building in Australia, and then switching to hospitality, like learning again, different skills, through practice. I didn't do a lot of study after I left trade school. I didn't do a lot of study. I did a couple of short business courses, I think, like very small courses, and then I had my own business, and obviously I learned from making a lot of mistakes, that's for sure. So don't be afraid of that. It's good to learn from mistakes, just not repeatedly. So yeah, and then when I come over here to Dubai, I actually meeting my wife was a big help as well, because in Australia I was not so tech savvy. My wife was very good help for me to get into technology, and then doing short courses like PMP. I done project management professional. Actually, I done associate. The certified associate of project management when I first come over, and then I done the next one after that, which is PMP. And then, of course, my most recently, 2021, 2022 was my Murdoch MBA. So yeah, there was a natural growth and just learned along the way. So I'm fairly old, one of the older students in my class.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. What about you, Dhruv? Yeah.
Yeah. See, I feel that today we have a lot of resources available online, and we have to utilize them. When I go to sleep till date, like even last night, I always listen to a podcast, and I don't listen to. It's not that I always listen to a business podcast or a finance podcast or Harvard Business Review talks or something like that. But there are times when I listen to Joe Rogan or Neil deGrasse Tyson or Star Talk, and basically keeping your mind open, so that, because a lot of knowledge which you gain can come from some other source as well. No knowledge is of waste. So I kind of do that. I don't like to read personally, so I listen to a lot of ebooks. That is one thing. I watch a lot of YouTube, but when I watch YouTube, I make sure I'm not wasting my time watching irrelevant videos which are not going to help me in life. But I would watch videos about, let's say, food science or what are the new developments in space technology, or so keeping things interesting, changing them, and once in a while you can watch things for entertainment as well. So I get a lot of my skills through watching videos, listening to podcasts, and also on the job. So let's say if I learned a new skill yesterday by listening to a Harvard Business Review, how to manage some projects, I try to implement them. What I'm doing in my MBA, I try and I go back to my office and try and see if I can somehow relate it to my current projects that I have going on. So, keeping a mix and match of the academic as well as practical is very important for developing your skill set.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So you've both really emphasized on the need for micro-credentialing, or as we call it, granular size learning, right? Because your degree alone is not sufficient. We know that. And we need to be able to develop our skills in a way that gradually we are covering aspects within our skill set that are of value to the employment market. And baby steps is a great way towards that. So a lot of students who are doing their computer science, a bachelor's, they need to be figuring out ways by which they are enhancing their programming skills. Those of us who are really focusing on, business or let's say finance, they also need to be aware of what other certification programs they need to do in order to be able to leave a mark, not just during the interview process, but also bring that technical skill set onto the table once they are hired on the job. So that's really a great takeaway for us. And keeping your head above water level, I think that's also very important, whereby, Dhruv mentioned that, he listens to podcasts so that he knows what's really happening in the employment market. He knows what kind of new trends and, information is out there so that you can position yourself correctly and you can continue to build your skill set that would really help you stand out. So that's really great takeaways for us. And at this point, what I really want to hear from both Scott and Dhruv is, what is it that our students can do? If you have to give them one piece of advice for their career success, for enhancing their employability, what would that be?
Stay hungry. Again, people want to see enthusiasm, just energetic. I actually, going back to my kid, it's a little motto I tell my children every day, pretty much. Be happy and be helpful. It's like they cost nothing, and it's just a mindset. Be happy, be helpful, and you deliver value just by that. So yeah, be hungry, be enthusiastic. People want to see enthusiasm. Set goals so that you can track your own progress. Keep striving for the next goal. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. We all make them. I'm the king of them in my younger days. So yeah, it's that's don't be afraid to take risks. Go for it.
Thank you so much, Scott. Yeah, Dhruv.
So I have a couple of points. First of all, I agree, stay hungry, stay humble. It's very important to stay humble. What happens is often time when we start growing up the ladder, we start thinking of ourselves as, the know-it-all, and we kind of start losing focus. So it's very important to respect everybody. Sometimes the best of ideas comes from the least powerful people in your organization. So it's very important to remember that. Second thing which I really want to emphasize is go to social media, but don't let it affect you, because what happens when you go on to LinkedIn and you see 15 or 20 of your friends getting this position in that company and this position in that company. What happens is you're getting information for 15, 20 people in one go. But if you look at it individually, that one person has only got that job or something like that. So what happens is our brain starts thinking, oh, I'm lacking, there's something wrong with me. So don't let social media influence you. Be yourself. You have your own path to follow. So it's very important to, follow. What I'm trying to say is basically what you need to do is follow your own path. Don't look at other people and try to follow or copy their path. So it's very important for today's graduate students, because I see a lot of students being, saying that, oh, he's got this job, he's got that job, and they measure success on what's being shown on social media rather than what the reality is. So that is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely that each one of us has to create our own niche based on our interests, our passion, the kind of people we are. And once you begin to focus on yourself, then oftentimes you're surprised at the combination of attributes and skill set and experience that we bring in, that we need to harness and put forward, so that we are basically following our own career trajectory that we have set for ourselves. So that's really a very important aspect. We can't compare ourselves with others. Yes, within your class, you have other students, and you can always learn from each other. And you can always cooperate with each other in terms of, helping each other understand a particular concept or helping each other find a job. If you got an internship and, your organization is looking for another one, you can always make that connection for them. You'll be surprised that the good that you do today is going to come back to you tomorrow. So like Scott was saying, be helpful, be happy. And I cannot agree with Scott more on that, because it's really your whole self that you take with you in the world of work that enables you to shine. You cannot be, hesitant. You cannot be overly cautious before you open your mouth. You cannot be holding back your true self. You have to feel confident in yourself and say, that's how I am. I'm going to do the very best I can, and I will leave the rest to how things unfold. So those are really very, very useful pieces of advice for all of us. So coming back to our last question, Scott and Dhruv. Now that both of you are working and both of you have been able to find something in the last 3 to 6 months, which is really fantastic considering the challenges of the pandemic. If you were to hire a fresh graduate, what qualities would you look for in your new recruits?
I would start with presentation. It's probably like the first, it's the first thing that you see. So presentation, someone that, and then after the initial introduction, probing someone to see if they've done their homework about the company or the position that they're applying for. I was just saying the other day that I had interviews last Friday for electricians and supervisors and carpenters, and I was judging on the 5 criteria, which was presentation. I assessed the skills for the role. If you don't have the experience, this can the enthusiasm can counter for the skills and the experience. So you want to be enthusiastic in that part. I then judged on the confidence of their skills and everything. So that sort of comes into enthusiasm as well. I had a couple of good candidates that were very confident in the way they presented themselves. Communication, clear communication. And then the last one was just a general fit and a feel I had with the interview. So I judged on those 5 criteria. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
If I was supposed to take an interview for a fresh graduates, the first thing I know is that that student would not be so well versed with the nitty-gritties of the job, but I would really deep down drill into the knowledge of the industry he or she is applying for. So that is very important. Second, I would suggest is work on your communication. We live in a country where we have 180 nationalities. Most common language spoken is English and Arabic. So having good business communication skills is very important. Third thing is willingness to work hard, because a lot of times, let's say you're slacking in an interview, you're not sitting properly, it shows that you're one of those kind of people who is not really stiff about their work, or really wants to show enthusiasm, as what Scott was saying. And another thing which is very important for me is, what I see is, how many opportunities did you as a student create for yourself? Now, as a student, you can have limited opportunities in internships, but you have a lot of activities in your university that you could take part in. And if you have taken part in various clubs, societies, that shows that you're a person who likes to create their own work. You are a person who likes to find something to keep themselves engaged. And that gives me the assurance that tomorrow, if I have no work for you, you will keep finding work for yourself. You will try to improve things in the company. So that is also a very important part, to showcase what all the extracurricular activities, or what in the limited opportunity that you had. That's very important.
Well, thank you so much, Dhruv and Scott. I mean, you've really touched on some of the profound aspects of one's employability. So you're really reaffirming the value of the employability skills that we introduce in our coursework at the bachelor's level. We are saying your communication skills, whether it is written or spoken or interpersonal communication, is very critical. How you present yourself, how you introduce yourself during the interview, all of that is really a reflection of your self-awareness and how you're going to really put forward your elevator pitch, knowing the command on the language, your confidence, your ability to take initiative, right? That's also part of your entrepreneurial skills, your ability to problem solve and take initiatives, whether it is during the internship or it is within the university environment. That is also so very important. And I really like the way both Dhruv and Scott emphasize the value of, developing a skill set so that people who are interviewing you can actually see that you understand your craft well, right? You have knowledge of the industry, you have knowledge of the job, and in addition, you bring in the employability skills. Employers are now becoming so choosy, I must say, that they really need it all. They're looking for people who can speak well, who know how to keep themselves visible within the organization, who are well presented, have good proficiency in their English communications, have the potential for growth, can work in a team. It's really, the entire gamut of skill set that the employers are looking for. And that on one hand makes it very competitive, but on the other hand, I think it makes it very vibrant for the students to be really looking at ways by which they are developing themselves in a multidimensional perspective, right? So that is really something that we want our students to understand, that they should not be holding themselves. So don't feel hesitant. Face life with confidence as much as possible, right? Even if you don't feel very confident in a particular day, have the faith that you know what you're trying to do. You're sensible. You have a sensible head over your shoulders, and you're going to carry yourself in a way that will look appropriate and pleasant and nice. So no need to get too stressed about your interactions with others. So those are fantastic insights that both Scott and Dhruv have shared with us. I want to now open the floor to the students and ask them if they have any specific questions. And Rose, please feel free to ask your question around job applications and how do you really get interview calls. So over to you, my dear students. One of the students had contacted me and said that she's applied for hundreds of jobs for internships, but hasn't heard back. Is it
I
something
think
that
so.
happens with you?
May has asked a question to me.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, doctor. She says, I would like to ask Dhruv about showing your skills in applying job or internship. Does it mean like portfolio? How about if I have no job experience? How can I show them when they only ask for a CV or resume? So to answer this question, I get a lot of CVs which are fresher CVs, and I'll tell you what CVs stand out for me. CVs which talk about different activity clubs that they have taken part in, different when you have nothing to write on your CV, that's where your creativity will flow. You talk about the, for example, you talk about semester one, you studied 4 subjects, take one subject out of it, write in detailed about it, what you studied. Make that subject your experience point. So how you creatively put yourself different is when you don't have something to present, but you're still able to present something about yourself. Uh, there will be no, in your 3 years of 4 years of bachelor's, there will be nothing, there will be no point of time where you would not have an opportunity to shine. And showcasing that, for example, let's say even you guys went out for there's a class team picnic or whatever, and you were the head, or you led that delegation. So you talk about it, you talk about how you planned for it, how you were in inter collaborating with teachers. So there will be no point in your resume where you will have a blank page, because you can use anything to your advantage and add to your resume. And if you have a portfolio and if you're applying for a design job, that's a different thing altogether. But filling up your resume is not going to be a very difficult task. Use various experience that you have and portray them into the resume. I hope that answers your question.
Also, your
Yes.
also your hobbies, like if you have a natural interest for like photography or arts, if you like, people, if you like going to the gym, going down the beach for a run or things like that, then that's sort of demonstrating your enthusiasm as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Even, things like, for example, in MSP 100, you, as part of your assessment, you conduct an informational interview. You can put that in your experience and say, conducted an informational interview with the Director of Human Resources to really understand the nuances of the world of work, right? Or, for example, in MSP 200, you do 3 courses. We call them career learning experiences. And I'm giving examples of these 2 courses because these are the compulsory ones. So everybody who's doing their undergraduate would have done these courses before they can actually complete their bachelor's. So you can mention the courses that you did from Coursera as part of your MSP 200. Like Dhruv is saying, be creative in terms of bringing your experiences through the academic, assignments into your CV. You can always add those into your resume and talk about it during the interviews as well. Some of you had applied for the student council, and some of you were able to win the student council positions. So those of you who were successful, you can always contact other students and ask them if there are people who are interested to be part of their small team. Or on the contrary, you can contact the student council vice president or the president or the sports coordinator or events coordinator and say, I'm interested to participate in a particular event that's coming up. Please let us know if you need any support. So again, going back to taking the initiative in really shaping yourself in such a way that you are developing your experience through whether it is really extracurricular activities or it is really the academic assessments and assignments that are offered as part of your coursework, right? But this is really a fantastic question, Nehi. Thank you so much for asking this question. Anybody else? Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Rosabella.
Hi, thank you so much for this workshop. Actually, it was very insightful and an eye-opener too, and getting to understand, especially the part that you both touched when you're saying that most of the time we look at ourselves and we try to compare. And like in the past, I've been asking myself, I mean, I've applied for over 100 jobs. I've not been able to get any calls. And then here is someone who comes and 2 months in the university, she applies and she gets a job, and you're asking, is there something wrong with me? What did I not do right or something like that? So you getting to explain that really was so great help, and just telling us to be able to focus. We need to focus on our own journey and not get influenced with the social media thing. So that was very, very great. Wonderful. I had a question. One of them is already answered. It was about experience. Actually, I wanted to ask Scott when he said that one of the things he's looking for the scale. So one of the things he's looking for during the hiring process is to know the experience of the candidate. And as she answered, the person who just answered, asked, I said, how can you get to know experience? How can you have an experience if you've never had these opportunities like internship and all that? Now that that is answered, I wanted to ask the second question was about upgrading. When you decide to upgrade, for example, you're done with your bachelor and maybe you want to go for master's, what about the fear of overqualification? Because I've had people who've applied for jobs and they're told you are overqualified for this, and we can't give you an opportunity because we feel you are overqualified. How do you handle that when you get something like that?
I might take this one. First of all, you've applied for 100 jobs. I've just recently gone through. You can ask Dr. Usmar. I've had 6 months of unemployment. The first couple of months I was just finishing my MBA, so I was not too stressed about it. But then it became a bit of a problem because I really needed to get some work. Excuse me. And I applied for probably 100, 200 jobs. And I was not getting anywhere. I was not getting any calls back. So I asked Dr. Usma to check over my CV. And she gave me some pointers, and we just, and it wasn't not long after that. It was just a small thing, just another set of eyes on my CV to generate some traction and get some, it wasn't long after that. I had 2 interviews. One was for a general manager's position and one was for a project manager with the company I'm now. Okay, so overqualification. Yeah, that's, I'm not sure if that was happening to me. My experience was putting people off, or I don't know what, but for academic overqualification can be countered with, I don't know, to try some volunteer work or something, trying to get some sort of some practical experience, not just the academic experience. So try and find like volunteer work can help, or part-time work. I actually missed it before, but I was going to pull it up in the end. Being flexible with your expectations, because okay, after 6 months of my unemployment, and I was starting to get a little bit desperate, but I still knew my worth and everything like that. I managed to get the 2 job interviews. One was for a general manager, one was for the project manager, and I got, my interview with the owner of the company went well. I've sort of managed to have decent conversations with people, and I'm very real. I put my heart on my sleeve in the interview. We're talking about families, and he gave me a job offer straight away, but it was much less than what I was on before, and I'd even lowered my expectations, and it was a very hard figure for me to agree on, but I did. on the condition that it was going to be reviewed in a few months. So I was flexible in my expectations, and I got a foot in the door, and hopefully I'll be giving you a success story in a few more months.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much, my dear Scott and Dhruv, for your time today. It's really been a pleasure having you in our session. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you, both of you, for making the time to
another
speak with us.
question, actually.
I just want to close the recording and close the session as well, Rose. As
You
it's
can reach out.
here.
You can
And-
reach out to us by taking our details from Dr. Uzma, whoever is comfortable. We would be happy to guide you, mentor you, or give you any advice. I'm sure that works with Scott as well, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
So
fine.
We can continue with the questions as well. I just want to formally
Yes.
close it so that those who'd like to leave can leave, and those who have more questions can continue if that's okay with Dhruv and Scott. So
Yeah,
thank you
yeah,
very much, my dear.
I'm fine to stay on. Yep.
That's great. My heartfelt thanks to both of you for making the time for us, and many thanks to our students as well for coming in for the session and for asking such fantastic questions. I'd like to close the recording, and we are open to more questions from our very curious students. Thank you all once again. And let's stop the recording.